Swaggy V, do you like it? What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to me?
John, we got one of the hottest hitters in the major leagues to join us on the hottest podcast going, Mark Vientos.
Yeah, it's going to be terrific having Mark on. We haven't had him on before. I like having any player on, but Vientos is great with the media, always has good things to say, very, very quotable, and really interested to see what Swaggy V has to say today.
Yeah, he does his job with a smile. He is a good guy to go to in the clubhouse all the time. We'll ask him about, I'm sure, his struggles and now his rise again, where the Mets are in the standing and what their potential future is this season. You and I are going to talk a lot about the Yankees, the Mets, and is there such a thing as a really good or even great team in the major leagues this season? We'll play hit and error at the end. Who knows? I might use the word Zamboni. You might use the word Spartan if you stick with us on the show with Joel Sherman and Jon Heyman. John, we've reached that part of the schedule where I think you begin to know which teams the teams you cover regularly have left on their schedule. There's so few. And part of that is the Yankees have a little fascinating 12 games coming up here. They're against the four teams with the best records in the American League, not named the Yankees. It's three first place teams and the Red Sox, who they're tied with. And Aaron Boone loves to say it's all out in front of us. Well, it's all out in front of us. Those five teams, the Yankees and those four teams, are separated by 3.5 total games. Those five teams. So in these 12 games, you could convince me of a lot of things, John. You could convince me the Yankees end up with the best record in the American League like they had last year, or they put themselves in danger of falling to the very bottom of the wild card, or even in some danger of the Rangers and Royals. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, it's the real test because they have done very well against the dregs of the league, the bottom feeders. They're killing them, and I mean, frankly, we'll put it this way: they're taking care of business. That's what they need to do, but they have not shown that they can beat the better teams. It's particularly true against Boston, where they're 2-8, but they have a losing record against most of the good teams. So they're going to show their stuff over the next couple weeks. That said, beating up on the bad teams might be good enough for them to get in the playoffs. I mean, I guess to win the division, they're going to have to, start beating Boston and Houston, some of the better teams. But they can get in like this. They hit a lot of home runs. They can still get back to the World Series like this. But I do think we are. This is a test for them right now.
John, all four teams they're about to play, they have a losing record against this year. I mean, some of it is they lost two out of three series to Detroit and Houston. They still lost them. They're 7-19 against these four teams. They're 23-30 against the 11 teams in playoff position. And I think you and I probably think that the 12 teams in playoff position have a pretty good shot of getting in, unless we think Cincinnati, Texas, or Kansas City is making a late run. They just haven't played well against these teams. And yet, John, you highlighted something you and I have talked about a few times on the show, and you just brought it up again, which is I'm not sure there's a great team in baseball. I'm pretty positive there's not one in the American League. Maybe you have slightly above average. But I mean, Detroit's in a long period now, about 50 games with a losing record. Toronto's in a long stretch. Toronto, over the last 40 games, has over a 6 ERA from their bullpen. Like, there's things wrong. We get myopic. We're covering the two New York teams a lot and we see their flaws. And then the Phillies show up like at Citi Field and you go, oh my God, they're worse at baseball than the Yankees. Uh, so I
Well,
wonder what you just think.
Let's not get carried away about that. But yeah, they did have a bad series.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
you're
they
right. I
could
mean,
learn how to
every
run a
team has
rundown
flaws.
club. That would be.
Certainly in the American League, every team has flaws. There is no perfect team in the American League. I think Boston might end up being the best team. We'll see. The National League has the best teams. Is there a perfect team in the National League? Maybe not perfect, but the teams are better, I believe, in the National League. The Dodgers are favored for a reason. They've got their five excellent starters back right now. They still have issues in the bullpen. Overall, their ERA is 18th, but I don't know if that matters, right? Because Ohtani wasn't pitching at the beginning. Kershaw wasn't pitching like this at the beginning. Snell was not available, certainly for months. Neither was Glass now. I mean, I do think right now the Dodgers, while they still have bullpen issues, they may be a great team. Milwaukee has played great. Let's give them credit. They are a bottom third payroll team, but they are in top tier, top five, and certainly even better than that, top two or three in base running, fielding, chase percentage. They're second in runs. That's shocking, right? The Yankees are still first in runs. Milwaukee's second in runs. So I'm giving them a ton of credit. At this point, I'm calling them at least a great regular season team. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. They'll be in better shape than they've been in the past because they should get the division title and the best record, so they should get a bye. But the American League does not have great teams. I don't see it. Detroit's a good team. I give Toronto credit. I was all over them last year. I didn't think they played the game well. They're doing little things right now to add up to big things. They put the ball in play. George Springer is rejuvenated. Bo Bichette is back to being himself. They are solid, but overall, they're, as you mentioned, their bullpen's been terrible lately. The rotation was underperforming early. Not a great team in the American League. That's why I think the Yankees can still get to that World Series. I'm not going to say easy, but I certainly can see it easily.
Yeah, look, I think the Yankees floor and ceiling have great variance. And I think they've shown that all year. Just to highlight your point against the Brewers have the best record in the sport against the other 11 current playoff teams. And if you'll remember, they began the season 0-3. I think they gave up 36 runs to the Yankees in the first three games of the season. Eight of their best pitchers weren't available to them, six on the IL. Jose Quintana had just been signed and Abner Uribe was suspended. So the Yankees do what they do, right? Like torpedo bats got famous. They were facing bad pitching and they hit a lot of homers. Against these teams, these four teams they have coming up, John, those four teams have out-homered them in their games they've played against them this year. And when the Yankees, you've mentioned it twice already, they might homer their way to the World Series. But what we generally find is if the other team stands up and plays against them and isn't afraid and has talent also, it's usually the Yankees that wilt. And I think that like there needs to be, if that actually happens again during these 12 games and for this season, don't they have to have some level of reassessment that this is like if they're 7-0 against AL Central teams in the playoffs and 1-8 against everybody else since 2017, and the one is they won a one-game playoff against the A's, who might as well be in the AL Central. I guess they're getting closer to it, right? Oakland to Sacramento to Vegas. So like when they don't play an AL Central team, they the other team stands up, the Yankees fall down. Like at some point, this is who you are. They could talk about being tough-minded. I haven't seen it.
Well, they need to be better fundamentally. Now, they got to the World Series last year. They weren't great fundamentally. We obviously saw that in the World Series. It wasn't talked about as much
Two
last year.
AL Central teams they had to
It's
beat
clear.
to get
No,
to the World
I
Series.
get it. They should reassess how they handle things in terms of fundamentals. That I'll say. I mean, I think that's fair. It's a little shocking this year, though. I mean, look, they brought in excellent defensive players. Bellinger is a very good defensive player at four positions. Goldschmidt. Maybe he's not as good as he used to be, but he's still above average at first base. And McMahon is outstanding defensively at third base. But the little things are lost on them. I mean, they are, they are what they are offensively, which is a home run hitting team. They are first by a long shot, no pun intended, in home runs. And that's the way they do it. But does that mean you can get by without ever doing the little things right? I don't. They almost did it last year, right? They got to the World Series, and if they hadn't blown that 5-0 lead, LA didn't really have the pitching set up going back. They might have ended up winning it in LA. They were pretty close. So I guess you can do it. Maybe they feel like they can get away with it like this. I don't know, but they should have reassessed after last year, and they should reassess now. And they did bring in three good defenders, if that's how they did it. But I mean, I think they need to work on it too.
John, the guy who was their best clutch hitter last year was Juan Soto, and he clearly jumped over for the largest contract of all time. And it was interesting. He had numbers you could look at in the first half and say, oh, those are good numbers. But if you watched it, it wasn't really impressive how he got there. Then about 4 or 5 weeks ago, he started being Juan Soto again. And he's actually added something. He might end up being a 30 homer, 30 steal, 100 walk, 100 RBI guy with a 900 OPS. We're seeing the full Juan Soto. Their offense has been much better. John, my question is, Senga and Minaya have been bad since they've come back. And those guys were designed to be 1 and 2. Can the Mets actually get to and through the National League if 1 and 2 ends up being like Nolan McLean and Jonah Tong and David Peterson. Like, is that the rotation? If
That's
these
it
two
right
guys
now, right?
never come through,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the rotation. If the playoffs start tomorrow, that better be the rotation, right? It's got to be Peterson and McLean at least. Tom's only
yes.
pitched one game, so we'll see. I think it's kind of a competition for who gets game three, and maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves because they are only 4 games ahead of Cincinnati. I mean, we assume they're going
And
to
they
get
have a
in,
series against Cincinnati coming
right? We assume they're going to get in, but yeah, I think they need one of them to do better, right? I mean, even Peterson, who's been their best pitcher overall this year, he has not been great over the last few weeks. But certainly between Minaya and Senga, one of them better get it together. I saw and I was at that game where I didn't feel like Mendoza committed to the next start for Senga. I mean, I wouldn't give on up on them yet. They're kind of trying out to see what they can do in the playoffs, right? I mean, I know every game counts, and maybe they'll catch Philly, and maybe Cincinnati will catch them, but I wouldn't give up on Senga yet. They're in 6-man rotation right now. I'd give them every shot because they do need that third starter, and we don't know that it's going to be Tong, and we're assuming that it's McLean and Peterson. Frankly, McLean is a rookie, as you know, and Peterson has not been as good as he was in the first half. So, I mean, they've got some issues here. That starting pitching has been the problem. The offense was, top two and everything in August, and yet they went 11 and 17, and it was basically all because of the starting pitching and a little bit because Ryan Helsley. I'm not sure what's going on there, whether he's tipping or what, but I mean, I mean, this is the guy, and you're around him. He seems comfortable. It doesn't seem like a Devin Williams situation. He seems very comfortable in New York and in the clubhouse and all that. He's just getting killed. I don't know whether he's tipping or not. He thinks so. Mendoza, it sounded like he thought maybe that's part of it at least. I don't know, but they need to straighten out their pitching because I don't think that just 2 rookies are going to save it and make them a World Series winner.
You wonder if it will be 3 rookies at some point. Will Brandon
Yeah,
Stroke get called up?
could be.
Also, John, I kind of have a feeling that it's going to be Peterson and McLean. Our colleague Mike Vaccaro tweeted Peterson and McLean and pray for rain, right? Like want spawn
We've
and
had
Satan pray
enough
for
rain. By the way, we've had enough rain. We
yes.
should have built
We
a
don't
roof.
need.
I know I've been on that for years. It's too late now, but
Yeah.
yeah, we don't want rain, and you're not going to do it with 2 pitchers,
So
right?
I'm wondering, do they go to like a tournament style where it's those 2 guys and then they like it seems like Mania has like good 1 or 2 turns around the rotation. Like they're gonna get Tyler McGill back. Maybe they bring up Sprode. They have Senga. They have Holmes, who's been actually an excellent postseason reliever. I wonder if the other games that they play, if they'll do a variety of pitchers to kind of like, especially with 14 available to them in September, do they just say, okay, the idea today is at least the first 6 or 7 innings are a combination of Senga and Mania or Senga and Holmes, etc., and play it from there?
Hey, the Dodgers won the World Series last year with a very weak overall makeshift rotation. I mean, not to denigrate anybody. I mean, Yamamoto's obviously excellent pitcher, but he was coming back from a shoulder situation. You had Flaherty. There was the rumors of the back, which the Yankees didn't trade for him, supposedly because of that. Right? And I mean, they had basically had 3 pitchers. They had the Bueller, Yamamoto, and Flair, 3 starters, and they used a bunch of bullpen games, and they ended up winning the World Series. It can be done that way. Holmes has been pretty good as a starter, but it does feel like maybe he should be in the bullpen. They could use a little help in the bullpen too. But it would be better if you came up with a third starter. At least the Dodgers had 3 stars. I know Flaherty was hit and miss. I was at all their games at the end. He had one good one, then one bad one good one. But it's still better to have at least 3 starters. They better find a third starter. But other than that, yeah, you could do it. You could piece it together like that. I don't think they just win it with 2 starters or just 2 rookies saving them. They're going to have to figure out some things.
John, I'm to end this segment, I'm gonna throw a question at you, and I feel comfortable throwing one that we didn't prepare for because I don't know the answer to it. I'm watching the way Soto's played, especially the last 4 or 5 weeks, and I keep asking myself, who's the MVP of the Mets so far? Because we're gonna
Yeah.
have, I don't know if you do. I do not have an MVP vote this year, but like I'll do a top 10 in a column at the end of the year, and clearly I'm gonna have a Met high up to
Yeah.
represent the team and the fact that they've played well. And it's like, it's hard for me to say Soto because the runners in scoring position thing was so bad for so long and it was a key to his game. And obviously defense isn't his thing. And Lindor had bad, I know he's such a great overall player and Alonso is hit with runners in scoring position, but the defense has been rough, especially lately. And like he had long stretch. Like, I don't know who the MVP of the Mets is. Who
Yeah,
do you
that's the
think the
thing.
MVP of the Mets is?
I mean, I think it's a three-way tie. I think that's an excellent question. I mean, I was doing MLB Network today, and they kind of suggested that Soto's doing so great. Is it Soto or Schwarber better for an MVP vote? We're not taking away from Ohtani, but maybe for second or whatever place. I guess Schwarber is probably second now. I mean, Soto's offense and his numbers are so great that I think nationally he'll be the pick of everybody.
Yes.
But if you've actually watched the season, it's almost a three-way tie. So that's why that's a good question. If I had to pick one of the three right now, I might pick Lindor because he's the shortstop and he's a good defensive player. Is he having his best defensive year? No, probably not. But, if I had to pick one of the three, I'd probably pick Lindor.
So I'm going to throw one out there just because I'm me and I can't help myself, John. If we're going to take the middle word very seriously, most valuable player, has the Mets' most valuable player this year been David Peterson?
Well, I think it should be a hitter for the actual award. He's been very valuable. I don't think there's any
I mean,
question.
nobody else
I mean,
threw
he
in
throws 6 innings, right? He can throw six
or
innings.
stayed healthy and
Right.
and did well. He was an all-star. Like it's interesting. I don't think he's a top 5 Cy Young guy. He might not be a top 10 Cy Young guy. I just wonder if he's been the most
Eh,
valuable Met.
You can make that case. I don't know. For if I had an MVP vote, I would pick one of the three position
Yeah,
players.
you know me.
You can
My
make
mind
that
works
case.
like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, it's a little different. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just actually think like if it was
He's
who's
been great. He's been
been
great.
most valuable, like it's like I don't know what they do without if he didn't have this year. Like we're talking about all these other guys failing and their
Right.
inability to cover innings and how they wore out their bullpen. The only thing that saved the bullpen a little was this guy. And I
Yeah.
just like
Well, could you make a case for Diaz? And the rest of the bullpen hasn't been that good. Diaz has been outstanding generally. I don't know. I guess you could make a case, but to me, for a pitcher to win the MVP,
yeah,
is going to have a
I'm being provocative.
Verlander year that he had, or the year that Kershaw had.
Yeah, again, I wouldn't
I
put
like to give it to
Peterson
a
up for
position
Cy
player.
Young. I don't think he's been great in that way. I
Yes,
just think he's been invaluable.
absolutely, agreed.
Somebody who's been great recently and has really helped the Mets offense stir is Mark Vientos, and he'll be joining us next on the show. We are literally joined from Comerica Field by Mets third baseman Mark Vientos, who was one of the most important players on a team that went to the NLCS last year and has heated up recently as the Mets offense has surged. Mark, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
Mark, it's an obvious place to start. You were one of the once you became a regular player last year in May, mid-May, you were one of the best offensive players in the sport. You carried it right through the playoffs as a valuable player. You struggled for most of the first 4 months of the season. The last 2, 3 weeks, you've looked like the Mark Vientos of last season. Why? What's turned around for you?
I think just adjusting to the game, man. It's this is the big leagues for a reason. It's the best of the best. You're facing them every single day. And last year probably didn't have as much info on me. Now this year they have a ton of info. They know everything about me. And I think it's just adjusting. Adjusting is probably like the biggest word that everybody uses in this game. And I think I kind of have an idea of the cat and mouse game that goes on in this game on a daily basis, and I'm learning and I'm getting better. So I appreciate the 4 months that I went through that rough stretch because it's just gonna help me grow and get better.
Well, 8 home runs since August 17th. So you certainly have adjusted. Could you talk a little bit about? I know it's probably complicated and a lot to it, but could you talk about the adjustments that you've made to get yourself back on track?
I think the adjustments I made is just like kind of reminding myself of what type of hitter I am and what type of player I am, and just being good at that on a daily basis. Because I feel like as baseball players and as people, I always want to be a perfectionist. I always want to be perfect, and that kind of took me a little bit away from what I'm good at, and which is driving the baseball. And I kind of got back to it, just like, hey, I got 4 or 5 at bats. If I strike out my first one, which I don't like striking out, and that's one of the things that bothers me the most is striking out, is like I got 3 more at bats to play with to help the team. And I think that's where you separate every at bat, and that at bat that you have in that moment is the most important one. And I think that's what I'm doing a better job with now.
Mark, I think to be around you with any regularity is to see a confident guy, especially when it comes to hitting. In those first 4 months, did you lose some confidence? Am I good enough to hit in the major leagues consistently like last year?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Even when I'm playing well, you get those negative thoughts if you're good enough to do anything. It could have been in little league when I was 10 years old, all the way to now. You get those thoughts, and it's just normal. I feel like no matter where I get to in this game, all-star, one of the best players in the game, is you're always gonna get those negative thoughts, and it's just kind of focusing on the moment and not letting it get to you, because it's normal. At the end of the day, we're human beings, and negative thoughts are normal. I think around that time, obviously, uh, my confidence wasn't at its peak, but I pushed myself every day and believed that I was going to get through it, and I'm happy I did.
Tell me where the Mets are at. I mean, you guys killed the Phillies. You've struggled against the Nats and the Marlins. Now you're beating the Tigers. Seems like you rise to the occasion when you're playing the better teams and fall down when you're playing the teams that are also Rans. What are your thoughts about what's going on with the Mets right now?
I feel like that's just like I've been since I was little. I've been with great teams, teams that travel ball teams that we put like the best players together. And it's always when we play the better teams, we tend to lock it in more. I don't know why that's a thing. And obviously that's just a thing we could probably talk about in the locker room, is just like, hey, like no matter who we're playing, we make it seem like it's the best team in the world. Like we have to compete every single day. We don't give up at bats. We don't give up pitches. Like we're locked in on defense, and I think that's just like it's a natural thing that everybody, it probably happens to everybody. Just like when you're facing the Phillies, for some reason you're just those games. Even me, like I wake up and I'm like, yeah, like you're a little bit more pumped up. You're a little bit more eager to get to the field. But it's just things that happen, and like I said, I think that's something maybe we talk about, and just for the rest of the season, just like, hey, like let's play like our backs are against the wall. Like we need to win this game no matter what, which we have been talking about. We've been talking about it. I think that's something we've been preaching in the locker room, is like, let's win today. Let's win today. Let's win today. So but like you said, we're playing the Tigers right now, great ball club, and we're doing our thing. So I think we just keep this going.
You mentioned doing your thing. The offense has clearly ticked up over the last few weeks, and it's hard to ignore. Like there's four mainstays in the lineup all the time, right? It's Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Nimmo. The lineup just feels different, Mark, when you hit. It feels like it elevates, it feels longer, it feels more dangerous against lefty pitching, which had been a problem for most of the season. Do you feel it, feel that responsibility of I'm a guy who helps make this lineup long when I'm right?
1,000%. I feel my job is to go out there every day and have good at bats, because, like you said, I do have that. I do get that. Like when I'm on like this team, I put this team in a better position to win a game. Uh, but I think that's just like my job. It's just like whatever I can do, whether it's a good at bat. Because some days I'm not feeling my best, and I get on base and walk and just pass the baton and give it to whoever's behind me. And or some days I'm feeling great and it's like, all right, then I take that 3-0 hack or that 2-0 hack. So it's just like knowing the situation, knowing how they're pitching me and not trying to get too ahead of myself. But I feel like I'm maturing in that way because I always like I've always wanted to be the guy in the spot that's in that big spot and comes through in that big moment. But now I'm learning as I get older, it's just like you know when to go get it and when it's you pass it and it's your turn is the next time. So that's just how I feel.
Now you've played with Juan Soto 5 months plus spring training. What are your impressions? Anything different than what you expected?
Nah, I think everything that he's showing this season is what I expected. He's one of the best players in the world, and it's just how consistent he is, and he's a consistent person. So that's why he's such a consistent player. And like I said, he's one of the best in the world, and everything that he's doing is what everybody expected. To be honest.
On the other end of that spectrum is Nolan McLean is new to your team. As we talked, he won last night again. He's won his first four starts. Um, the Mets are known historically for 6.5 decades as a pitching organization. Nolan McLean is doing things that Doc Gooden didn't do, Tom Seaver didn't do, etc. in these opening games. What are you seeing with expert hitting eyes when you're watching Nolan McLean pitch?
Um, what I see is a pitcher that has a ton of confidence. He's not scared of anybody he faces. He's he wants the big moment, and I think that's when you talk about aces. That's like that's it right there. Aces are bulldogs on the mound, have a ton of confidence, and they just it's just me against you. Here's my stuff. I I bet you won't hit it, and he has that attitude, and not only a great player, a great person. So I've been in shock with how quickly he's been a stud. Not in shock that he is a stud. It's just like how quickly it's happened, and he's showing the world how great he is.
One of the things I really respect about you is the great relationship you seem to have with Brett Beatty. From the outside, it feels like you guys have really kind of been in competition for years in the minor leagues and now. How are you able to maintain that relationship, and how do you see things playing out going forward?
I mean, I've known Brett since I was 18, 19 years old. So uh, we've 25 now, freaking 6 years knowing each other, and I mean, we've seen a lot, we've been through a lot, and it's awesome that we're both doing it in the highest level now, and I think when it comes to me and him, we have a great relationship, great friendship, but we also know like how much we push each other to be better, and it's great. It's great to have that friendly competition and know that a guy you grew up in the system with is doing his thing every single day. And I'm just happy for him. I'm happy for the year he's having. And sky's the limit for him. He's gonna have a great career, and I'm excited to see it. And like I said, we've been friends for a while, and it's super cool to do it with him in the highest level.
Mark, another homegrown guy is of interest to me, and that's Francisco Alvarez. I wonder what a teammate thinks about a guy who's trying to push through a ligament strain in a thumb and a fractured pinky on his other hand, and he's down in the minors pushing already. I think your GM, David Stern, said he'd understand this guy bagging out of the season. Francisco Alvarez isn't bagging out of the season. It looks like he's trying his hardest to be part of whatever's going to be the 2025 Met end of the season.
No, Francisco Alvarez is probably top three toughest people that I know. It's just you expected you expected him not wanting to back out of the season. You expected him fighting to come back and finish the season with his boys and not let his like like everybody would understand if he's like, man, I got to take care of my thumb, like because he has a long career ahead of him. But he wants to be here for his boys, for the team, and that just shows the type of character he has. I think when you talk about a catcher, that's the definition of a catcher, man. They get beat up back there. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how he does it. I feel like almost every game he's wearing one. But he's he's the man, man. I think it's exciting to be around him. And same thing as Beatty. Grew up with him when I was 18. Met him when I was 18 years old, and uh, he's he's a bulldog. He's a bulldog. He's not scared of anything at all. He's fearless.
There's only one guy in the National League hitting over 300 right now. That's Trey Turner, 301, who's the fastest guy in the league on sprint speed. If this repeats and there's one guy hitting 301, it's going to be like 1968. That's before your time. The American League, Carl Yastrzemski at 301. Why is it so hard to hit now? And is there anything that Major League Baseball should do about this?
No, we're just at a time where baseball has been like this is the most advanced baseball has been, especially with the pitchers that we face. I feel like every guy that we face is throwing upper 90s with a ton of movement, and that's just it's just exciting for the sport. I mean, like it gives hitters more credit when we do it. It's just it's advanced, man. Pitchers are good. I think hitters are going to keep continue getting better. But like I said, I it just shows the type of competition that we face on a daily basis. It's not easy, and you gotta you me. I'm a person that doesn't like giving pitchers credit, especially pitchers that I'm facing. But I'm gonna give them credit, man. They're really good. They're really good.
Pete Alonso had the biggest hit in the postseason last year, but you were the best player for the Mets in the postseason. How was that like for you that October? You had the grand slam against the Dodgers. You really hit against the Phillies. I mean, what was it like for you? And did you sit at home and watch tapes of all? I think the home run was against Landon Knack, if I remember the grand slam. Did you sit at home in Florida and watch all this over and over again?
It's funny, like during the playoffs last year, I was doing everything I was doing. It was just like, hey, I'm just doing my job. Like I got a bunch of texts from friends and family. Oh my God, you're doing amazing. Keep going, this and that. But like the way I was viewing is like I'm just doing my job. Like, and obviously now it's on national TV, so people are seeing it, and that's why it's such a big deal. But like I was just doing what I could for the team, and I feel like when it comes to moments and big moments like that, I thrive because I I visualized myself for a while being in moments like that and being in situations like that, and I want the game on the line and I want to be up to bat. Like I've always wanted that, and yeah, in the off funny in the off season it was like a late night, and I was watching it because I still didn't really realize what I was doing. So I was watching the video of the grand slam and a couple of the home runs, and I started like crying because I was like, man, I was actually doing that. Like, because in the moment I was just like, oh, this is normal. But then when you like get away from it for a while, you're just like, wow, like I can't believe I was doing that. This is like 12-year-old Mark would be jumping up and down. Like it was sick though. It was cool.
Thank you so much for joining us once again, Mark. And last question from me: where do you envision yourself playing long term? It feels like you got to be in the lineup somewhere. Are you a third baseman? Have you worked a lot at first base? Could you be a first baseman? Does it matter to you? What do you think?
Um, I I love third base. I envision myself at third base, but to be honest with you, wherever the team needs me, wherever the team wants me to play, I'm ready for it. Whether it's third, first, I'm ready for whatever it is, and uh, I just wanna hit. I wanna keep hitting, and I wanna keep doing my thing, and uh, see what happens.
Mark, you are playing third base and hitting fifth today. We want to get you on your way, so I'll end the whole interview with this. Swaggy V, do you like it? What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to me? I mean, it's my personality, man. It's just who I am. It's who I've always been. I've always been into uh dressing the part and looking good, and since I was a little kid. And like I said, it's my personality. It's me. It's my walk. It's my talk. It's just my flow, and I'm gonna run with it for sure.
Well, we're glad everyone who listens and watches us got to see your flow. We certainly enjoy dealing with you in the clubhouse, Mark, and appreciate you are in about 2 hours hitting fifth and playing third base. So we appreciate you joining us on the show with Joel Sherman and John Heyman.
Of course, guys. Thanks for having me.
All the best.
Thanks,
Have a
Mark.
good one. Yep.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
John and I, of course, thank Mark Vientos for joining us on the show. John, hit or error?
I'm going to give a hit, and I'm not making this about me, but it was a quote that Juan Soto gave to me, and I'm giving him a hit for this because I think it's fair and reasonable, and it shows that he, knows what's going on this year and isn't saying, "Oh, look at my numbers" or anything like that. I asked him, the critics have been tough on you, and what do you think? And he said, "I'm with them. I feel like I'm capable to do more stuff. It's not bad, but I think I can do better." I like that. I think that was the appropriate thing to say, considering he's making $765 million, as he's reminded. And, it's not easy, even though he's been in New York for a year, to go to the other team in town and get those criticism and try to acclimate yourself to the clubhouse and everything else and the fans. And he has come back in a big way and had a very, very typical Juan Soto year. That said, typical, it's not typical of anybody when you look at the combination of numbers that I've seen with the potentially 40 home runs, 30 stolen bases, which is amazing that he's turned himself into a base stealing guy. The 100 runs, the 100 walks. I mean, basically, it was like Bagwell and Bonds were the last guys to have that combination. I don't have all the numbers, but that was basically
The
it. So,
only guys to have that
right.
combination.
So he's had a great year. He could have just said, "I've had a great year." I don't know what anyone's talking about, but he didn't say that, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that was and good on you. You always get people to say interesting things, John, when you're at the ballpark. It's a reason to be at the ballpark when you do what we do. John, I'm going to give an error. We've got to do something about position players pitching in games. Uh, 64 different guys have pitched 118 times, and I saw one of the were like people were so excited in the Jonathan game Friday night.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it's Javier Sanoa versus Luis Torrens in the ninth inning. And it got to the point where Met fans were booing at Citi Field. They were booing a team that was up by double digits because of how ludicrous this was. Our sports statistics count more than any other. We're seeing them get distorted. And so I wrote about this for in my plus piece. I want the Zamboni pitcher. The thing is, there was a guy named David Ayers. In hockey, they have the e-bug, the emergency backup goalie, available every game. If anything happens to one of the top two goalies, that guy gets to come in the game. It's not been used a lot over history. Most famously in 2020, a guy named David Ayers, who was Toronto's minor league team's Zamboni driver, among anything, was a former professional goalie. He got in the game, and he's the only one to ever win one who was an e-bug. And the Carolina lost its main two goalies, and he went in and won the game. John, like every team in their home stadium should have to have a guy around. You bring them up from AAA for 7, 10 days. You could send them back down. They just sit there. They're the Carlos Correct. Rich Hill could do this till he's 75, right? Like that's the kind of thing. Can we at least have a pitcher go in the game if you are losing by winning by 8 runs in the last 2 innings, so that Javier Sanoa has pitched 3 times for the Marlins. The gig economy is gone out of control in Major League
Yeah.
Baseball. It's ridiculous. There's never been more pitchers available and less pitching available. Nevertheless,
Yeah.
we have to have, it used to be fun, right? Oh, the position player's going in. Does he have a knuckleball? We're going to get over 125 position players pitching games this year. It's not good for the sport.
Yeah, I don't know about Zambonis or what is it, E-Bug or something like that.
E-bug, emergency backup
Bug, very
goalie.
good. I don't very good. I don't know anything about that. I'll say this: they've added some rules about this. I would add one rule: if you're ahead, do not put in the position player. And this almost burned the Mets. I get why they did it; it's within the rules now. But I think it's kind of like a slap at the face at the team at the other team to put in a position player when you have such a big lead. And of course, with the Mets, they got burned a bit by putting in Torrens, and then he gave up so many home runs that they had to or felt they had to bring in Stanek to close it out. I would just add that rule: if you're ahead, keep pitchers pitching and don't bring in a position player. I mean, I get why he did it. Like I said, I understand it. It's within the rules. Make it a rule. No position players pitching when you're winning the game.
Yeah, position players have to stop pitching in total. John, I'm with you. I would at least make the inroad of not the team ahead, no matter how much you're ahead. You got to use your pitchers and not just be, we're saving an arm because we're up by 10. Then tell a pitcher to come in and lob it over the plate. What can I tell you? Um, John, we are going to keep our producer. Tommy's the
Nice.
best, Tommy Hogan. And so, great job as always, Tommy, helping us get the show up, running, and out. Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to a podcast, please rate and review us. It does help the show. The New York Post YouTube page, give us a view. You get to see, I think we alternate, John, who's up at the network. You're up the network this
Yeah.
week. You get to see the nice background and whatever mystery office John
It
is
was
sitting
what
in.
we call a Spartan office, even by the standards of MLB Network. I don't think there's anything in this office other than me and the computer.
And if you had Spartan being used on this show on your bingo card, you got to win there. And look, we're down to the nitty gritty here. John and I will be doing this right to the end, regular season, postseason, and then into the hot stove. If you stick with us on the show with Joel Sherman and Jon Heyman.